Hi everyone, it's Tammy, and today I'm going to make this embossed birthday card that I think turned out really pretty. And I made this one for my bestie Lisa. So her birthday has already passed, so I feel fine posting this. But I thought it was really pretty, and I wanted to use a dark color and put some metallic pins on it because I had gotten the Sharpie pins. Hopefully I did a video on that. I know that I filmed a video. Hopefully I've posted it already. If not, you will see them. But I used some really cool markers, and I will show you those here in just a second too. But to do this card, it was pretty easy. I'm using a stamp set called Petal Palette, and I wanted these pretty roses because I know that Lisa likes roses, and I thought, okay, I'm going to use those. And I looked at my dark paper, and I didn't really want to do a black, but I wanted something dark. So I thought, well, maybe green, but then with the leaves, I thought, okay, how about blue? So I went with a navy blue, and I cut this as an A2 sized card. So it was an 8.5 by 11 that I scored at 4 1/4, and then I cut at 5 1/2, and that creates an 8.5, or that creates an A2 sized card, which measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then I cut a piece of cardstock to go in the middle, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, so it will fit right in here. Before I do that though, I do want to round the edges on this one just because I thought it looked a little nicer. And then I just have another piece of cardstock. Let me see, do I have, I thought I might have a smaller one, but I know I did, but I don't know what I did with it. Because what happens is we will end up with another piece that we could put in the middle, and I'll show you that in just a second too. So let me go ahead and cut this one. I'm going to cut this one at 4 1/4 just because it's halfway. And I don't even know if it measures. It's a little longer because okay, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter what size this is. But I am going to put it here and see how big I want this stripe. So I don't know. I want it to be maybe from there to there. Maybe something close to that. So I'm just going to cut this down. Actually, I could just measure this and see what I did this one at. I did this one at 2 inches, so I can do the same for this one actually. Let's just do that. All that looking at it and trying to figure it out. This doesn't really matter what size it is. I'm just going to use this as a straight edge, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. But before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and do my corner rounding. Just because this, to me, is kind of an elegant card, and I don't know, I think that this adds a little bit to it. And you know, I think my dog has to go out again. How many times does this happen when I'm doing a video and I'm streaming it live? More often than I care to admit, for sure. Let me go look these dogs out really quickly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. And Winnie didn't even go, so I could hear it now. She'll be barking in 3 seconds, wanting out herself. It's okay. I don't know how to do these videos sometimes, because if I do them live, it gets scheduled a lot faster and a lot easier. If I don't, and there's no editing really because they're live, obviously, but then I get issues like this. So I don't know, you guys might not like the live, but then other times you don't even know, so it doesn't even really matter. So I don't know. So what I did was I just put this white piece down, and I guess I could cut it to the size. Let me cut it at 5 1/2. just so it will fit right on there. This one, as you can see, is longer because I didn't really pay much attention, and I really don't know if it matters too much. I mean, I can just cut that one down to make it work, but it might be better. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of my purple tape, which is like it's just tacky. It won't make anything stay permanently. And I'm just doing the little foldy rolly thing so it makes it double-sided, and I'm putting it on the back of this. And I'm just going to put this in the middle, or wherever you want it, wherever you want your image. I mean, like you could do it on the side or whatever. I just don't want my images to be here on the card. I want there to be a blank spot. So there we go. There's that. And then you're going to need Versamark and your handy dandy block. So I'm taking my flower image, and you can use any flower image you have or any image, but the flower images kind of make it a little bit easy. And then what I did was I looked on my flower image to see which side I liked it kind of the best, because I wanted more flower than I did leaf. So I am just kind of looking at it and kind of knowing where I need to stamp to get it where I want it. I'm going to put a piece of just catch all down. And then I'm going to take my image and Versamark it up. And then I'm just going to put as much of it on the blue as I can get that I think will look nice. But I don't care if it gets on the white. That's perfectly fine, because I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that too, because I think I can use that for another card or something else. And I'm going to turn it a little bit because I don't want it to be the exact same on all of them. Not that it would be since I'm doing it manually, but just in case, I think that's going to look really nice. And if I wanted to put like an extra leaf or something over here, you can certainly do that like that. And you can see it when you're looking at it, that it's colored. It's like it looks wet. So you know where your Versamark is. And again, I'm doing the same thing, just kind of looking at the blue portion along with my stamp. And then when I have that, that's really all I need the Versamark for. I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp. And you don't have to work too quickly because the Versamark is wet and it will stay wet for a little while. I don't know how long exactly. I should do a little test and see how long. Whoops. But I know it's a little while. I've never had any issues with it, so that's a good thing, I guess. Alright, and then I'm going to get just a piece of cardstock that I can kind of fold. And I need embossing powder, so in this case I'm using gold. So I'm going to take this piece off now, and I can take these off, and you can reuse this tape. I'm not going to do anything with that yet, but I'm going to take some of this tape, the double-sided sticky tape, and I'm going to run it across each of the edges of where I have my flowers. And you can see where the edge is, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it, hoping that it's straight. And this is what's going to give us that gold line that I have. And you can use thicker or thinner, whatever you want, of course. And I like to make sure that those are on there pretty good. And then you're going to want to cut the edges off. Just making sure that it's down there. And then I'm going to take my little pokey tool and peel off the tape backing. And now I can do the embossing part. I was getting a little overzealous at first. So I'm just opening up my embossing powder, and I'm just going to start at the bottom, or however you want to. I'm just going to start it at the bottom and just cover up about half of it. Then the other portion. Then I'm going to pour this back into the jar. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Brushing off any area that I see that I think has some on it that doesn't need it. That looks pretty good. And then I also did the same thing to the extra white part from the middle. I'm going to put embossing powder on that too, and just go ahead and heat that up and have it ready for whatever I need to use it for. I think heat embossing is really pretty. This is one of the first, and I know I say this a lot when I am doing it, it's one of the first techniques that I learned, and it's one of the things that made me love stamping. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now I don't seem to have gotten as much on this one as I did on the first one, so if I wanted to go back and use my Versamark, oh gosh, I just spilled that. If I wanted to go back and use this Versamark on some of the open areas and then reapply my embossing powder, I could do that too. And let me see if I can kind of scoop some of this up. All right, because I like to save as much as I can of things. I'm kind of frugal. And then what I like to do also, and I think a microcloth is the best thing since sliced bread for crafting, because it picks up all the little parts of embossing powder or glitter or whatever. Maybe not all. I can't say all the glitter, but it picks up most of it. It's so nice. So then, now what I'm going to do is turn on my heat tool. I'm going to let it sit on for about 30 seconds or so before I start in. And then I will just melt all of this embossing powder, and it's pretty cool. So if you guys haven't used this, this is a really cool technique, and I'll try to make sure you guys see it. It changes color, so like it's kind of dull at first, and then when you're embossing, when it heats up and melts, it turns shiny. So hopefully you guys are picking that up. Hopefully the camera is picking that up so that you guys can see. I think it is so cool. And it does get really hot, so you want to be careful. Not really hot, I guess, but it gets hot. I just think this is one of the neatest things ever. I still love it. All right. So you guys can see how cool that is. It just looks so neat. And you can touch it and and it won't smear, it won't go anywhere. And you can color over it. You can even do some emboss resist stuff with it. So, I mean, all sorts of fun things. And I'm going to pull out my Sharpie markers. And I'm going to use my pink one, my green one, and my gold one. And these are metallic Sharpie markers. And they are fabulous. I can color right over the dark. And I guess I better let my dog in while I'm thinking about it. Good grief. Actually, I think he'll be okay. I just heard Winnie and she's not really barking to go out, so if she does, I'll let her out, but they can wait a little bit. It's not raining or anything. In those other areas, I'm going to use the green for the leaves. And I'm just coloring between the little lines of the embossing powder. Or I guess it's not powder anymore, of the embossed image. These markers are so cool too. This is just a really, all of the things in this card are so cool. The embossing, the dark paper with the metallic Sharpies. I mean, it's just neat. I think that's why I liked this card so much. And I'm not doing a super great job of explaining everything, but I know that when you guys start it, you guys would be able to figure out what I'm talking about, because sometimes it's hard to explain until you actually start doing it, and then you're, oh, I see what she meant. And I think that's almost, I don't know, I mean, I think embossing powder you can kind of explain, but until you see it in real life and you watch it do it, it's like, wow. So my cat is meowing, probably because he's hungry. It's about 5:30 right now. And I worked all day, but I know that Dennis is on his way home, and I wanted to go ahead and get a card done just because Oh, I almost colored that one pink and it needs to be green. Just because I wanted to make sure I got this done. Because I want to get Lisa's together for her. And I can't do that until I've gotten this done. Because I wanted to show you. I like showing a finished product at first. And then doing it. I don't know. For me, it seems like that's a little better way of explaining it and kind of showing you what to expect. I don't mind doing a card as we go along if it's kind of a, hey, let's experiment and see what we can come up with this. And that's fun too, but when I'm trying to teach you or show you a technique, not necessarily teach you, but kind of teach you, I guess teach you. Showing you what I did so that you can do it too. I guess that's teaching, isn't it? And sometimes you might already know the technique, but you might pick up a different way of doing it or a different tip or something. I like to watch videos like this, so that's partly why I make them, because I enjoy them myself, and hopefully I am paying it forward and spreading the love of crafting and paper crafting, coloring, all of it. I think it's important for people to have hobbies, something that makes them feel good and unique, and if I can inspire someone, that makes me happy. Because you all inspire me for sure. Okay, and then I am practicing my hand lettering. So what I did was I was going to stamp this on the middle of the card, but it's a large stamp, and I thought, gosh, I'd really like them to be happy birthday, like next to each other. So I thought, well, why don't I just try to copy this and write in that kind of a font. So that's what I did here. It's not exactly the same, but it's decent. And to do that, I started with a pencil because that seems to be the easiest, especially when I'm trying to make sure that I have it centered or whatever. So I'm just going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to write happy birthday in my pencil. And I don't know if you guys can see that or not, and that's fine if you can't, but you'll be able to see it here in just a minute. All right, so when I have it written in pencil, then at least I know my spacing is right. And eventually I don't think I'd have to do it in pencil, but right now I need to. So I'm just taking my gold pen and just going over my pencil area. Happy birthday. And then when I know that this is good and dry, I will go in with an eraser and erase my pencil mark wherever you can see it. I can't see it everywhere, so I'm not going to erase everywhere just because I don't know how well the metallic erases. But anywhere that I can see it, I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil mark. And there we go. Yay! It's a pretty easy card to make, really, once you understand the technique. But I think it's really cool, and I like it a lot, and I think that Lisa will like it, and I'm sure somebody else will too. And then you have these, and you can make something else with these. Maybe put these in the middle of a card, and you know, and I don't know, emboss resist with them or something. You know, I don't know yet what I'm going to do with them, but I'm going to keep them because I think they're pretty. And there's that. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope that I inspired you to make something pretty. Bye-bye.